Can we be so emotionally attached to a space that we leave a trace of ourselves behind, a whisper of what we once were, an echo of our former self? This idea is a fascinating one. It is a revelation of sorts that we needn't be scared of what we don't understand, but rather an acceptance that the love we have given on earth, the hard work, the dedication, cannot be so easily erased by death, that our emotional connection is more powerful than our immediate physical presence. Unexpected Stage presents Haunted, Episode 4, Mrs. Ball. What is captivating about Issa's story is that the experience has led to a reflective understanding of a person's imprint on Earth. That imprint cannot be so easily forgotten. Here's Issa.
So the story that I would like to tell takes place right after I graduated college. So that would have been about 20 years ago. And it's a story that I come back to again and again when I think about both things in my life that have happened that are sort of hard to categorize as natural things that happen, but also makes me ponder about what happens to us, perhaps when we've had, heavy things on our mind, trials and tribulations. Does a piece of that emotional energy stay on after we're gone? And so 20 years ago, when I graduated college, it was a big deal for recent graduates to come back for homecoming in the fall after they've graduated. All your friends are there. There's lots of parties and fun things. So obviously I did that, very excited. And I was very grateful that a friend of mine who was still a student offered to put me up for the night. She lived with her mother in a house that her mother had purchased for the express reason to give my friend, who I'm going to call A place to stay so she wouldn't have to pay for room and board, so she could live right on campus and not have to pay the extra cost. So they had a beautiful old Victorian home. It had at one point been turned into a duplex, and my friend's mother was in the process of renovating it back into a single family dwelling. And after we had finished all of our festivities for the night, we made our way back to the house. And I always thought the house was kind of funny. They were at the point where they had rejoined the two halves of the house, but there were still two front doors and two staircases going up to the second floor side by side, but with no wall between them. So it was kind of quirky, and I thought it was neat. So they put me up in my friend's room. She had a really neat bedroom that had, the actual bedroom area, and then it had sort of an attached study where she had her desk and her books and a comfy couch. So she was going to sleep on the couch and I was going to sleep in her bed for the night. And before we all settled in, they sort of laughingly, lightheartedly said to me, if you hear any footsteps in the hallway in the night, don't worry about it. It's just Mrs. Ball. And I'm like, cool, who's Mrs. Ball? And they had named this, I guess, entity that they were aware existed in the home. It was kind of a jab at sort of an aging professor that my friend had who was unmarried. So to call her Mrs. Ball was kind of funny. And they said, don't worry about it. And I was like, haha, okay. And I'm like, maybe they're just pulling my leg. Maybe they're just trying to get a rise out of me. And I didn't think much of it. So I went to bed. And as I'm laying there and I'm trying to fall asleep, I've always had a hard time falling asleep in unfamiliar places. So I was awake for quite a while. And I started hearing footsteps going down the hallway. And at first I thought, oh, that's just my friend's mother. The bathroom is on that end of the house. She's walking from her bedroom to the bathroom. No big deal, right? So footsteps stop for a moment, and then they start up again. But they're not coming back from the direction they came. They're going the same direction again. They're going from this end of the house towards the bathroom again. So there was no return footsteps. It was just always in this same direction, and it happened several times. Of course, I'm terrified. The door is shut, thankfully. I roll over, I put the blanket over my head, try to pretend that this isn't happening, and eventually I do manage to fall asleep. So the next morning we woke up, and I didn't mention the footsteps. They didn't mention the footsteps. Maybe it was so normal for them that they don't even talk about it anymore. I don't know. We had breakfast. We talked about our plans for the day. And so they said they were going to go out to a farmer's market and that I was welcome to stay and sort of get myself around and then let myself out when I was on my way home. And I said, sure. So I went up, I took a shower, got dressed. I'm standing in my friend's bedroom and, doing my hair and my makeup, getting ready to go. Just as I'm standing in front of her dresser using her mirror, the doorway to her bedroom into the hallway is on my right. And it's 11:30 maybe in the morning. It is broad daylight. And I'm not thinking there's going to be anything weird to happen right now. But all of a sudden I hear the footsteps again. And almost as though I can't even control myself, I have to sort of look out the corner of my eye. And I see her. I see this woman walk across the doorway. And she is a grown adult woman. She looks kind of middle-agey. She has a very long, dark red, kind of a brick red, maroon kind of dress in what looks like a very heavy fabric. It's got a bustle at the back. Her hair is dark and it's up high on her head in a kind of a bun thing. And she's got her hands folded in front of her and she's just walking very contemplatively as though she's thinking about heavy things, something weighty on her mind. She doesn't notice me. She doesn't look at me. She gives no reaction to anything. Of course, I'm frozen on the spot. I don't know what I'm going to do. And it's over in a split second. She crosses my field of view. Then I can't see her anymore. And after another moment, the footsteps are gone. So obviously, I throw my stuff in a bag and I make for the hills. I don't know that I even locked the door after myself like they asked me to do. And I don't know, in retrospect now, I don't know why I was afraid. She was not a threatening presence at all. She, like I said, didn't seem to notice me. And, after a while, I started thinking more about, why would she be here? And I didn't get the impression that she was a whole, sentient being, but more that she was an echo of something, echo of someone who perhaps lived in this house, died in this house. I don't know. And it looked like she was going through it. She looked like she had some big decisions or worries on her mind. And, that always makes me think, like, when we have that kind of energy, especially thinking now with all that's going on in the world and the sort of collective trauma that we're all experiencing, does that stick around after we're gone? Could the same also be said for the joys that we share? Do those stick around as well? Maybe there's something to be said for making sure that we sort of resolve those thoughts while we're still here and making sure that everything is taken care of and that the people we love know that we love them and the troubles that we had, that we let go of them before we depart.
Thank you, Issa. Perhaps our time on this planet isn't as limited as the number of years in our personal cache. Perhaps we are so committed to place and people that we cannot let go, even when compelled, and traces of us remain past our own expiration dates. We know this to be true because the memory of us long survives our departure. If you have a story you want to share with us, please reach out to chris@unexpectedstage.org. Check out the other side. Walk into that uncomfortable space. Open yourself to new insights, experiences, norms. Open that door of opportunity. And do not Do not close that door.